All right. All right. Hi, everybody. I am Coach Dennis Stoica with Modern Era Warriors. Welcome back for another amazing podcast, right? We have a special guest, Stu Smith, with us today. As always, we're bringing in like-minded people, a little bit of a focus as of late to law enforcement related. So very excited to have him here for what he has been doing for a very long time. So I would argue to say, by the way, before I get into reading a short bio on you too, more and more people are doing what, right, as of late, I would say as of the last few years, I don't know, maybe with social media, I'm just seeing it. Like a lot of people are jumping into this field, which is what you've been doing already for decades. So it's just amazing, which we can talk about a little bit too. So,
Sure,
hey,
absolutely.
Stu Smith is a certified strength and conditioning coach, a specialist, and a former Navy SEAL who graduated from the United States Naval Academy and basic underwater demolition SEAL training buds training, serving in the SEAL teams for over 8 years, right? And so he has personally trained, tested, and written workout programs preparing people to ace fitness tests, right? Not just to take the fitness test, but ace them. And spec ops selections for over 25 years. Like I just said, people are just jumping in this. Stu has been doing this for going on almost 3 decades now, right? So, however, people of all ages and levels of fitness use these fitness training products that he has, right, to lose weight, prepare for other fitness goals, etc. So Stu founded Heroes of Tomorrow Fitness as well, a local resource in Annapolis, Maryland, for people seeking military, law enforcement, or firefighter careers. He trains young men and women who wish to serve our community and communities locally. Awesome. Hey, so Stu, anything else to add real quick with regard to that?
No, I work out and write about it, and every day I get the opportunity to train with young men and women who want to serve in some capacity. And in our Heroes of Tomorrow program, I do it 6 days a week, and it's the best part of it for the person doing it is free training. So no charge. You just come to my workouts at 6 in the morning, and you can get a free workout. And I become a better coach because I'm constantly training people. So everybody wins.
That is awesome. I do attest to that too, right? So since 2008, I've owned my business part-time, and it's training people, right? Reality-based self-defense, functional fitness, grappling, striking, shooting, and you get amazing the more you do, right? The 1,000 repetition philosophy of anything. I don't care whether it's shooting, a martial arts technique, right? Or a specific basic kettlebell swing or something like that, right? And so you get better at it the more reps you get. So awesome. Hey, so I start this question out with almost everyone, probably everyone I've ever interviewed, right? So who is Stu Smith, and what is your why? So what's your purpose? What's your passion? What are your principles? And those things could have changed over time, right? So when you were younger and high school, and then going in the SEALs, and whatever throughout life, when you first started a business to where you are today. And we talked a little bit, like offline a little bit too, as we age decade by decade. That can even change too a little bit, right?
So, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would say there's multiple Stu Smiths out there. I mean, I have, or throughout the years, I think if you really want to stay relevant in what you do, no matter what you do, you're going to have to evolve, and you're going to have to grow, get better, get smarter. And I think that is probably my biggest thing that I do is I love coaching. I coach. That is my why. That is my passion. I didn't realize I loved coaching until I was actually in a senior position back at the Naval Academy as a lead SEAL instructor there. I was in charge of a couple of things. I was in charge of preparing people to go on to SEAL training. So that end of the spectrum. But then I also got involved with the other end of the spectrum of people who were failing fitness tests. And so I was that guy that was working both ends of the spectrum. And I have to say, I loved it so much that I didn't miss the actual SEAL team life and the job. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be a coach. I want to work out. I want to write about it. I want to help people, especially those who are preparing to serve, because
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think there are programs out there in the civilian world that adequately prepares someone for
Yeah.
whatever they're going to do, military, law enforcement, firefighter, and especially special ops. Even
Mm-hmm.
though they may be an athlete, they still come into this journey with some strengths and weaknesses that they
Yeah.
need to focus on. And that's
I
what I
don't.
do.
I'd also argue, Stu, too, that some people, right? So I can tell you specifically law enforcement, right? They don't want to hear from somebody that's not law enforcement. Like when we go to trainings and stuff. Like, so if you're dealing with stuff like post shooting or something, a significant traumatic event, right? Where someone's coming in or there's some training on, I don't know, something maybe associated with that, right? Too. They like to talk to cops, right? Who've been through it already, and
Sure.
maybe also specialize in trauma. They've left and they've done fitness, right? They've left and they've done some type of therapy or whatever it may be, right? So I know these communities, right? Or so whether that's military, law enforcement, fire, EMS, et cetera, people are preparing to be more fit in this environment, first responders, right? That's the reality. I don't know what to tell you too. So I think you offer credibility, right, with being who you are, what you do, and then for doing it for how long that you've done it as well, right, too. So all those are amazing things versus, like I said, too, a lot of people come into the market, right, that are just fitness trainers or whatever. And I'm not saying they can't put a good program together or whatever, right?
Oh,
But
sure.
they also haven't done the job. They haven't lived it. They haven't understand it. So if I'm going to have a coach, right, it's great to be able to have a coach that understands who I am and where I've been as well too. And you've done that, right? You
Yeah. Well,
definitely done
thank
that
you.
well.
You know,
Yeah.
I know the standards that people need to
Mhm.
be able to do these jobs. And
Yeah.
you know, what does that mean? You know, there are minimum standards in all of these professions,
Yep.
which part of my training is don't even go near them. Don't even go near the minimum standards. Minimum the standards are like barely surviving, right? If you really want to thrive in these professions, you need to be at that other end of the spectrum,
Yep.
right? Other,
100%. Right.
where you're competing and you're, you know,
Well, the fitness test, right? I've had this conversation with another Navy SEAL friend of mine. With regard to getting in the minimum standards too, right? So it's awesome to be able to do body weight exercises, be on the grinder, and do all these amazing things. But once reality hits and you ruck in somewhere 10 miles, and now you get in the firefighter, you got to do X, Y, or Z, whatever the task is in front of you, right? That's when the work starts, right?
oh
So
yeah.
that is when the work starts. So same thing for, I would argue with law enforcement or fire, right? You're on
Anything.
shift. It's my 11th hour of a 12-hour shift, or maybe I'm working overtime like I did last night, and I'm in my 13th, 14th hour. And if something happens, right, I'm tired. I've already worked 14 hours, right? I did my workout and whatever, I'm tired, right? And then something happens. So yeah, awesome. So hey, let's talk about your programs.
Okay.
You first created. What did you first create? Maybe your favorite demographic to work. I got a few questions here, right? I don't know if you have a favorite, but what did you first create?
You know, my
program.
yeah, my first program that I created, well, it was funny because I created something for my parents, right? Because my parents didn't do anything, right? Yeah, they moved around, did some yard work and all, but you know, part of their off time was like hanging out in the living room together and watching movies and TV shows, things like that. So I was like, you know, let me see if I can come up with an idea for them and try to make this a little shorter of an answer. But basically, I came up with this workout that you only did the exercises during commercials. Right now, this was 27, 28 years ago. Right
Before streaming and everyone got rid of commercials.
before everybody got rid of commercials and DVR'd and all that stuff. So there was actually 20 minutes of commercials in an hour-long show.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, hey, it's a start. Right. So I created this and I just gave it to them and nobody would publish it. You know, it wasn't that good. But I actually found a publisher that wanted to do a second idea I had, which was about preparing for Navy SEAL training. Because I saw the same need on that end of people just woefully ill prepared. You had an 80% attrition rate. And I'm just like, I was looking at everybody in my class on the first day and was shocked that, 2 weeks later we were cut in half. People had already left and it hadn't gotten that hard yet. Right. And so, so I was like, oh, maybe there needs to be something out there to help people prepare for that. And so that's what I really created. Got that published, and this was long before the internet. Well, not long before, I guess, right about the same time. Put it this way, nobody wanted to use their credit card on the internet yet.
Yep.
Right. It's like right when I got out of the Navy, it was like 99, 2000. Nobody's 100% comfortable with that. So it is a complete guide to Navy SEAL fitness, created that program, and then, just started evolving with the times and created a website and online coaching. And next thing I know, I'm coaching people locally that are preparing for other jobs, and started creating downloadable ebooks and writing articles for websites like military.com. And then I realized articles were a pretty good way to, talk about what you do and help people with certain activities. People could search them and find your book. And so it just started creating the business model around that, and then just literally evolved with the market and understanding the technology. And now look at us with headsets on and making our own TV show.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Hey, so do you have a favorite demographic? Whether that's someone that's 18, 20 years old that's coming into the job, or someone who's our age that's continuing to be 1% better every day in every way.
All of the above. But let me tell you something I've learned. After I wrote this first program, the Navy SEAL fitness book, I actually went to my publisher and showed them this workout I made for my parents. It was called the TV Watchers Workout. Right. And I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be golden. Right. Everybody needs to work out. But something I realized in that whole process of business is unfit people don't buy fitness books.
So I was just going to say something similar to, I guess, for what you said, I'm thinking, cool. I mean, it's a great answer. We love to help everybody. Right. But the reality is this, too. We can only help people who want help.
I know.
Yeah.
And I will say, though, I love that demographic. I love the beginner who comes up to me and says, I want to serve. I got to lose 80 pounds. I have no athletic history. What do I do? Turning that person's life around and helping them help themselves to be able to accomplish that is probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I mean, taking a dude who can do 10 pull-ups and getting them to 20 pull-ups and running 6-minute miles, that's fun too. And they go off to do spec op stuff. But a life change like that earlier demographic we mentioned is still to this day one of my favorite things to do.
Well, and as well too, right? As well as I, just because you're unbelievably physically fit, unbelievably athletic, does not mean you're going to actually make it into the Navy SEALs, right?
That is also true.
Yeah, that's reality too. That's one of the important pieces, in addition to mental toughness, emotional resiliency, and other things, right? So, cool. So, tell me about a time. Tell me about your time in the service as a Navy SEAL. How did you prepare yourself going in, and what would you do differently today, if there is anything differently today?
Great question. I came in a powerlifting football player. Right. My goal was 18 years old was to go to the Naval Academy, play football, and become a fighter pilot. After that, process, that 4-year school and educational process. However, I get there, I don't make the football team, and I failed my first fitness test, and I'm failing out of chemistry. And by Thanksgiving, I have really gone from basically not failing anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and doing really well, team captains, good grades, you know, did everything right, to really not doing well at all. And I had to figure out, you know, what I needed to do to make it through. I had spent all my time focusing on getting to the Naval Academy. I never
Mm-hmm.
once thought of what do I need to do to get through the academy.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that. It took me a good year and a half of just grinding to figure it out while I was
Mm-hmm.
there. And luckily, you know, I found some good mentors. I asked for help, study skills, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
name it, time management, all of those things were now part of my growth, you know, when I hit those failures. And, you know, the second fitness test I took, I maxed it. Right. So I was starting to like have these little victories along the way to a
Cool.
point where I was like starting to hang out with the kids that wanted to go to SEAL training. And, you know, I played rugby instead of football. And on that team, there was always 4 or 5 guys that were going to SEAL training and becoming Marines. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I found my guys. This is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. And,
Yeah.
you know, becoming a pilot was out the door. And I was like, I want to do either Marine Corps or Navy SEAL. And you know, just finding that group of people that
Mm-hmm.
kind of helped me do
Yeah.
that
The
that was really big.
the like-mindedness, it maybe gets old in talking as coaching, but it's very important, and having coaches and mentors in a community around you that's going to take you from where you're at to where you want to be, and hang out with, if you can find someone who's done it already, right? Learn from them.
Well,
If
the
they're
thing
willing to talk
about
to you.
the reason why that's so powerful is because it takes away the impossibility factor of it. Because there were you know,
Yeah.
people that were older than me going on to SEAL training, becoming Marines and doing all that, and they were doing great. They were getting through training, becoming
Mm-hmm.
SEALs, and I'm like, man, if they can do it,
Yeah, they can do it. I can do it.
I
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah.
100%.
You know, I just got to do what they were doing.
Yeah.
So the long answer to your question is I went from powerlifting football player to focusing on pure endurance and muscle
Mm-hmm.
stamina and swimming. So I left the weight room,
Yep.
maintained some strength, and focused on
Mm-hmm.
basically did triathlon training mixed with calisthenics
Mm-hmm.
because my pure goal was endurance and muscle stamina.
So very, very important with what you need to get in and what to do that job,
Yeah.
right? So
Specific.
so 100%. Hey,
And
so for whatever it's worth, right? I mean, for my business too, in self-defense, functional fitness, grappling, striking, it's very much the same, right? It's about HIIT, it's about endurance, it's muscular endurance, cardio endurance, right? But the last few years, as I've aged, I've gotten back into lifting very heavy again. And I'm a little bit different demographic at this point, right? So
yeah,
I'm trying to make sure that I'm as strong as I can be as I age our bones.
same.
Very, very important as we age to be stronger now, right? I can do some of those things less too. So again, demographic changes. What is the focus? What is the mission? And again, like we talked to, our why. Maybe some of that changes a little bit as we move forward. So hey, how did that all prepare you to run your business, though, to be an entrepreneur and run your business, right? How did the Navy SEALs then? How did that, what we just explained, you know, in your 8 years, how did that turn you into? You talked about your training and then wanted to help people, right? That became more important to do that than even the job itself.
Well, you know what? I don't think it really did. Maybe it did in a way. Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
created a mindset of like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can do whatever I want to do, you know, and I even considered like going to med school. I haven't considered
Mm-hmm.
going to become a doctor and consider doing other jobs outside, you know, in the corporate world even.
Mm-hmm.
And then like none of those really got me.
Yep.
Right.
Didn't catch
had,
your on fire. Yep.
yeah. And I asked myself a simple question and it wasn't that simple because it was actually difficult. But if I could do something and not worry about money, not worry about education,
Mm-hmm.
not worry
Mm-hmm.
about anything that comes out of it, what would I want to do?
Yep.
Right. And so that kind of freed me a little bit to try to figure out what I really wanted to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew I wanted to do something in coaching. And that was slowly starting to become, you know, in the tactical world. And that was before we even called it tactical fitness.
Yep.
I think we came up with tactical fitness like 2008. So this was about 8 years before that. And then once I realized that, I was like, okay, how can money be made from doing this? Not by just coaching locally and having a gym, which I did. I had a gym for a while, coached there for a while, kind of built my name up. And then I realized if I really want to get the word out, I need to be more involved with internet, and social media hadn't even come out yet. So, I just was like, let's post some articles. And then luckily military.com picked me up for writing articles. And that was another way of kind of spreading my net out there. Even did some articles, wrote articles for Police Link and Firelink a while back ago. I don't think they exist anymore. Maybe they do. So, I was kind of getting it out there. And then I started doing presentations at fitness conferences, and they started creating tactical fitness with the National Strength and Conditioning Association. 2008, they came up with their first tactical fitness conference. And
I would say right around that time period too, that was very popular. Tactical athlete, tactical fitness, everything was tactical. It was.
Yeah. And as soon as that came out, I called my publisher. I'm like, we got to write a book called Tactical Fitness. I've been doing this for a decade. We're putting my name next to Tactical Fitness. And so, I have a book called Tactical Fitness as well.
In addition to preparing men and women for the physical piece, how do your programs prepare people mentally and emotionally?
Well, there is a certain level of toughness that is required to go do any physical activity. All right. So I try to add other layers of toughness to that. And I don't overtly say this is just to be tough, right? It's just the way it worked out. 6 a.m. in the morning, we work out. We work out outside here in Maryland, right outside Annapolis. And this morning it was 34 degrees.
I was going to say, if you've done that this week, the cold came this week, right? It's been 30 degrees.
Yep. We work out all winter long outdoors. So you can see us shoveling before we lift weights. You can see us breaking ice in areas, some places. And then the heat of the summer, we're also outside. So, the people who come to train with me realize that their job is going to take them outside for a significant amount of time, and you might as well get good at these things and start learning how to train in the cold or in the heat. And it changes everything.
Stu, every year, and I told my students the other night, I said, they're lucky it's just above 32 degrees tonight. Because I teach in the evenings and self-defense and fitness, and we do breath work, we do yoga, and that's part of the functional fitness pieces, right? But the first evening we have under 32 degrees, we go outside and we take our shirts off and we do breath work. There you go. For like 10, 15 minutes outside. It could be 25 degrees out, and that's what we're doing, right? So that's part of that mental toughness, emotional resiliency piece of what we do too, right? So we will survive 10, 15 minutes in the cold.
Yeah, I promise you. But here's where people don't realize the value of it. Because let me tell you, there's a little battle that occurs when you're still in your bed and it's 5:30 a.m. and you're comfortable, you're warm, and you now realize you got to go put on some layers and some gloves and a watch cap because you're about to go outside for the next hour and a half and be cold. And
but how amazing do you feel when you're done, right? When you when you did the work yourself, you were with your community, right? You got it done exactly 10 minutes. So,
but I will say this real quick on that one is the warm up gets you through it. Like once you start warming up, like give it 10 minutes, and I promise you, your mindset changes altogether, and you actually feel like you just got tougher, right? So there's. It is, you feel it, right? So that is how I embrace mental toughness in my workouts, and also do some hard workouts as well.
Sure. Let's move on to some specific questions. Me being a retired FBI agent, right? I talked to you about wanting to talk about this too, right? With regards to standards, right? And the FBI PT test has been in the news, bringing back pull-ups to be an FBI agent. We've had people in Congress go crazy on the FBI director, right?
I saw that.
Then I've seen videos of very healthy, athletic, strong women doing 20 pull-ups, and they're showing the video of Congress. I don't remember the Congress person who was in with Director Kash Patel. But then they showed him, and then they showed women doing pull-ups. You know what I mean? So look, it's possible, right? And when I was in, we did pull-ups. Women only had to do. It was a different type of pull-up, right?
Flex arm hang.
They did flex arm hang, right?
Yeah.
So there was still an aspect of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll even kind of go into the next piece too, for time purposes, and it's kind of the same too, right? When we talk standards in the military too, fitness standards, education, training, they're doing a review of hazing in the military, right? And bullying and harassment, even grooming standards they're talking about, right? With our new Department of War and our new administration and stuff, right? And I'd argue, Stu, I mean, I don't want to tell you, man, but we were both in the service about the same time, and you're just bringing things back to where they were, right? And I don't know if you're just bringing things back to where they were, but I think they're bringing things back close to where things were, at least for certain, right? And I'm good with bringing pull-ups back. I'm good with reviewing these fitness standards and the education and the training and how they're doing that in boot camps, right? What's your take on the FBI pull-ups? What's been in the media, and even with regards to what we're hearing from the entire administration with regards to the military, right? With regards to standards, and not just the standards, but the education and training aspect too.
Yeah, well, standards are there for a reason, and sometimes you can have a debate. Do people in the FBI need to do pull-ups? I don't know. What's the debate on that? I would say, well, if you can do pull-ups, you could probably pull yourself over a wall or a fence, or you have a grip that you might be able to hold on to something a little better, right? So could that save your life or save someone else's life? Perhaps. I'm theorizing on this, but I will say this: pull-ups are completely doable. It is the heavyweight exercise of the calisthenics world.
Yep.
But they're completely doable for both men and women. I've seen men not be able to do them. I've seen women not be able to do them. The common denominator is they just don't practice them.
Yep.
Right. If you practice pull-ups, I promise you will.
So, look, like anything, Stu, the reality is, look, if I have the PT test, the PT test was requiring me to do pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, a 1.5 mile run. How do you get better at your PT test? You do the PT test, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you can do pull-ups since you can, even if you did 20, you could do 20, right? Or you could do 5 or none, right? And you're doing them with a band. The bottom line is you can do them every day. It's not an exercise where you're doing max push-ups to wear out your chest muscles, right? It is the number is relatively low for most people, and you could virtually do them every day, every other day to get better at them. 100%.
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, but the common denominator, like I said, is it's just you got to practice them. You got to make them part of your training program, and a lot of people talk about body weight standards. Height, weight standards, right? Are you overweight, underweight? The pull-up is a great body weight standard measuring device.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for bringing that up. That was on my mind because when I went into the FBI, we had them just like the service did, right? And so I had to lose weight to become an FBI agent. Not much. It was less than 10 pounds. I was taking creatine to get stronger, and I'm got to stop taking this stuff because it made you carry water weight, right? And I stopped taking my creatine, and I was doing a little bit more cardio. Probably should have been doing more running more lifting back then instead of running, for what we know now on how to lose weight too.
Sure.
But, because some of that's changed over time too, right? Muscle will help you burn
more calories. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you can do a pull-up, no matter what you weigh, I think that will answer whether or not you're overweight or not.
Yeah.
Right. So it,
Yep.
it has multiple uses.
Yep.
I think now,
Yeah.
I mean, what is the magic number for people? That's obviously a debate. I think people should be able to do double digits, but that's just me.
Well, but you're also not the minimum standard. We discussed that, right? You're talking about
right. I'm not. Yeah, that's not a minimum standard either.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly, right. 100%. So, as you age, though, right? As we've aged, you've completed more programs. You were working with the military, the first responders. You have then moved to like a 40 and up program.
Sure.
Now 50 and up program. Let's talk about this, right? So, the need to exercise to stay young, as healthy as possible, and to one of my favorite sayings: "Die young, as old as possible." Right? Die young, as old as possible. Love it, right? Because that is what
that's my goal.
That is where I want to be. Right?
Yeah.
I want to be as healthy as I can, as long as I can, being able to move and do things, no matter what I want to do. Right? And so. What do you have to say with regards to the decade by decade approach a little bit, right? As we age, as anyone ages, right? And what may need to change a little bit in their lifestyle. As I talk to my friends, right? Another Navy SEAL I've had on a podcast, right? So these hard, maybe hour and a half workouts, right? 2-hour workouts at times too. Cool. Maybe you want to still do those a little bit in your 50s, but maybe you do 2 a week instead of 5 or 4. Right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Everything's of that nature too. Right?
And add mobility. That's been the game changer for me. Has been, first of all, I've been at this for over 25 years. So I have people who started with me, served, retired.
That's awesome.
Now they're in their 40s and 50s, and they're saying, "Stu, what do you have for me? What are you doing?
Fix me. Fix me.
What are you doing?" So that's when I came up with Tactical Fitness Over 40. And when I turned 50, I came up with The Ageless Athlete, Fitness Over 50. Actually, I was 55 when I wrote that. So
we talked about that, right? So it's develop the program, make sure it works, and then publish it, right? So within the decade.
My first 5 years of that decade, I wrote Ageless Athlete, because here's the thing. I always thought of myself as an aging athlete, right? But by adding one simple thing to my training week, and I call it my mobility day.
So that I so want to go
life changing.
I so want to go into this. It was Stu. I maybe I should join your program, right? So I just recently got a coach. Even I'm a coach, right? And coach should be. I've had multiple coaches in my life. I got another coach myself here recently too, because for 2026 I want to focus on mobility. As we're aging, right? I'm becoming the Tin Man, because I'm also said I'm lifting a lot of heavy weight. That shortens your muscles, makes you nice and strong. I feel great deadlifting a whole lot of weight, bench pressing like a whole lot of weight. I'm the strongest at my age than I've ever been in my life, but I'm also losing mobility. So it
comes with a cost.
Comes with a cost, 100%. You know that from being a power lifter, right?
I was a power lifter, but then I turned into a runner. And by the time I was 45, there was a time when I thought I was done running. My hips hurt so bad, and my knees were jacked up. Calves were tight. Everything, whole backside was tight. And I was like, you know what? You guys go on the long run. I'm going to go in and do some biking and some stretching. Right. And that slowly turned into my mobility day, which is this. It's real simple.
Yeah, please.
I give it away for free. Right now, it is in this book twice a week. Right. You got to do this twice a week in your 50s, once a week in your 40s. But it works like this. You go to 5 minutes on a bike, elliptical, rowing machine, any non-impact activity. Like I try to lay off the running that day just because I run the other days. And then you do 5 minutes of stretching or foam rolling mixed. Right. And I usually work my way up from my feet all the way up to my neck. So my first set, I focus on stretching, foam rolling, feet to knees, right? The next set, 5 minutes of cardio, come back, knees to hips, right? Next set, after 5 minutes of cardio, hips and lower back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Next set, come back after 5 minutes of cardio, the whole torso. So I get lower back a little more because I kind of need a second lower back one. And whole torso. And then by the time I'm done, it's been an hour. Kind of top it off with arms and shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my mobility day. And then I finish that off with a mix of some dynamic stretches and static stretches, like right out of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's that.
Awesome.
Adding that once a week took me from like, hey, I really think I'm done running at 45 to I'm still running at 56.
Yeah. I also, with injury 2 years ago too, still not feeling 100% from a torn ACL. I mean, it is what it is. No operation pending. It's not possible, from what I've been told, right? To just be getting stronger and then mobility to get you to, I would say, to ensure that I'm still doing the 100% within the 95%, right? There's a few things like jumping lunges, very things that are dynamic, right? I'm sure there's some things that you're not doing as well as you did 10 years ago too, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
there's a small percentage of that 100% that I'm no longer 100%, right? And so so my buddy, I had this conversation about a week ago. He's like, hey, Dennis, if you can do 100% of the 95%, isn't that awesome still? Right? So
yeah.
So, but there's still other areas like mobility and things that I can still, and people can still work on, right?
And improve. I mean,
too.
it is a work in progress.
100%.
But you can improve. You can see improvements every week. It's really nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, one of my mantras is just keep moving. I love it. Do you see yourself creating yet another program for seniors, retirees, of those 65 and up as you get older?
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to be a mix of just that. Just keep moving and find something that you like to do. It could be walking your dog. It could be going to the pool, swimming.
Love it.
So whatever.
Regenerative and longevity doctors like Dr. Attia are promoting exercise, right? I mean, it's the fountain of youth and a healthy lifestyle, right? For those to be able to live longer and feel well and be healthy, be able to move, right? Function. As we get into our last decade of life, it's called, right? So he was just on 60, we saw some things on 60 Minutes here recently, right?
Yep.
I totally believe that too, right? So again, the healthier we are physically, right? I believe that hopefully, not always, right? I mean, we can still get disease and things of that nature, right? But we're hopefully going to be able to live a longer life. And
if we're lucky.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Who wins in a pugil stick battle, the average U.S. Marine or a Navy SEAL?
I will tell you, I've never done pugil sticks in SEAL teams.
All right.
So I would probably give that to a Marine.
All right.
So I would say that you're not going to find a SEAL give up, regardless of how he gets struck with that thing. Yeah. But no, I love watching the Marines do that. In fact, the only time I ever did pugil sticks was at the Naval Academy when the Marines were running PT that day.
There you go. See?
I was like, yeah, I love that. That's why I wanted to be either a Marine or a SEAL. Awesome. It was just, they were just fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Stu, where can people go to learn more about you, your programs, and how they can contact you?
You can find me on StuSmithFitness.com. That's my website. All the social medias are working. I do a lot of swim coaching as well. You can find that on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. I do podcasts just like you do. Mm-hmm. Those are on where you get podcasts. My podcast is called the Tactical Fitness Report. Mm-hmm. I tend to just focus on fitness, tend to stay in my lane and just focus on fitness and, have guests on as well. So I appreciate being on yours.
Awesome. Hey, fantastic. So I have known of you for seriously, 20 years myself, right? Never met you. We know some of the same people. I'm like, hey, I got to have Stu Smith on to be my last podcast for this year with that focus on the community and what we have going on in the news and stuff too. So, Stu, I want to thank you so much for being here. Everybody, I'm going to ask you to hold on for a minute for my closure here too. But everybody, you know the drill, right? Until next time, train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life. Take care, everybody. See you in the next one.